All right, moving forward with our selectors in CSS, we also have ID selector, which we are going to be considering now. So we have the ID selector, and let's just follow the same format now. The same way you're able to select an element with the class name, you can also select an element with the name of the ID. So if you come here and okay, I define a div, for example, a div here, and I give it a property of ID. Just like you are able to define a property of class, you can define a property of ID. Now the difference between class and ID is that you can have a class, maybe the same way you use a class of text blue here, you can come here again and see assign the class text blue to this particular element. Come here again and see assign the class of text blue to this particular, so you can use it several times. But for ID, it is not right for you to use several times. So once you define an ID of okay, maybe this is div, maybe this is like div, let's just say div1, you should not assign another div with the ID of div1 again, because ID should be a unique identifier that is only unique or peculiar to a particular element, and not just using it several times like the class. So if you need to use a property several times, or you need to apply it to different elements, then you should use class. That's why I say class is the most popular anytime you are doing this thing. But if you need to just have one unique identifier, assign it to a particular element, you should be using ID. So as the case may be, so we have defined a div with ID div1, and let's just put some, okay, let's see our list, another list now. Let's say list item, and let's just say item 1, duplicate it, this is 3, and this is 2. Now if we come here and to select this div, so to select this div, you just copy the ID name, and to select a particular element by the ID, instead of you to use dots as you are doing for class, you use hash the name of the ID, and you define the declaration, the property. Let's say the property, let's still limit us, okay, let's use width this time around. So let's define the width of the element. Okay, let's give it some background. So but before that, let's just see it show up on our web page. For okay, let me just comment it. Let's just see it show up on our web page. It's not showing up, so there's a need for us to refresh. Okay, it's now showing up. This is the ID with div1. So let's give it a background color. Let's give it a background color. Don't forget we are selecting by the name of the ID. So, and to select by ID, you put hash in front of the name, you put hash in front of the selector, and you define that value of the ID that you want to select. So let's just give it a background color of maybe orange. If I see, you can see that that div has a background color of orange because I selected it with the ID. So that is that about selecting an element with the ID. So you can also have a group selector. A group selector is okay, maybe you have defined a property. Sometimes maybe you have defined a property, and instead of it to, let's see it in action. So instead of maybe you have class of div1, for example, and you give it a color of red, for example, and the same class of div2, you also give it another color of the same color red, and you have class of div3, and you give it the same color red. Now this is not professional in CSS because you have the same declaration for different classes. Why not just group them together and let them have that property? So to group them together, all you just need to do is just come here, put a comma, then have div, and have a class of div. So this is the first method of doing it. Like you are repeating yourself, color red for different classes or different properties. And this applies to selecting by ID, selecting by elements too. In this case, I'm just showing you with the name of the class. So this is method one of doing it, which is not right, or which is not, it will work, but it's not professional. So the right way for you to do it using the group selector is you should rather say, okay, div1, put a comma, because I want to select multiple classes because they have the same property. So then put another class div2, then put another class div3. Then in this case, I'm selecting the three as a group and I'm assigning them the property of color, and I want their color to be red. So this is a group selector that you should have. This the purpose you're able to achieve here. You will achieve it. You have achieved the same thing with this, but this is the right thing to do so that it will shorten the length or the number of lines of CSS that you are going to be writing. So that is group selector, where you use comma to select multiple elements that has the same property or the same declaration. So let me remove this, as this is the right thing to do. It also applies to maybe you have heading 1, heading 2, and paragraph, and maybe you want them to have maybe background color of maybe red. So if I save, you see something on our web page now. So you can see that the heading 1, the heading 2, the paragraph all have, I think this one has a color of that cannot show on red as well. So I think color of red too. So they have a background of red because I group them, I selected them as a group and I applied the property to them at a go, and everything power up for all the elements. So that is group selection, but I'm going to remove this and leave the previous one there for you to see. Now we go to the next one, which is the descendant selector. So descendant selector means that if you want to select an element that is a child of a particular parent element, for example, if you look at this div, this div is the parent to on unordered list, and this unordered list is the parent of list item. So the same way you are nesting it. So if you maybe you have a div, this div is the parent and it has a child of paragraph. That's the child of paragraph. Now this paragraph too, it can has a child of strong, strong too. So this div is now the grandparent, or yeah, grandparent of this child of strong. So where this is the parent and this is the descendant, this is another. So as you're nesting it inside each other, then it become a child of that parent element. So now let's say this is a strong task, put this for lack of words. Now you can see that we have a div, we have a paragraph, and we have a strong element. So let's say you want to select a paragraph that is a child to a div. You use descendant selector. You don't just want to select any paragraph, but you want a one that is actually peculiar to, it must be a child to a div. That means it must has a div as a parent form. Then for you to do that, you just need to write the element div. It can be the class, it can be the ID, but you select it and based on using the right selector or your desired selector. So but in this case I'm selecting with the elements name. So div, and I put space. This means that it will select a paragraph that is a child to a div. So a rapid. So this is the sender selector. So let's say I make this to be let's make this to be font size. Let's just increase the size. Font size to increase size. So let me just make it a very big text, maybe 150 pixel. So if I save, of course it's not showing. Let me refresh. You can see text is very big, very big. So let's just reduce it to 15. Now take note of the fact that, okay, let me make it different from other text. Now you can see that apart from the fact that this is a paragraph, yes, but we have other paragraphs on the page. This style only applies to this paragraph because we make it to be that it's only the paragraph that has a div as a parent. Other paragraphs on the page like this, does not have a div as a parent. This one too does not have a div as a parent. So anytime you want to select a descendant of a particular element, then you use space. So once you write the element, you put space, then you write the child element, and that is descendant select.